Grace and peace to you.
And welcome to Morning Watch.
I'm Pastor Jesse.
I'm Pastor Matt. We're pastors in Greensboro, North Carolina.
And we're brothers.
And we are neighbors. And so our families have been isolated together. And we're glad that you're here with us to say good morning to God at Morning Watch.
Yeah, and this week we're having a theme week, which we're calling The Church Has Left the Building. Very clever and original. Where we're focused on highlighting ministry of the church that exists outside of the building, and especially people and places that have been doing ministry outside of the church building since before all of us started doing it a month or so ago. And so we're drawing on people who've experienced doing that to share some of their witness with us.
That's right. Ministry outside our church walls is something we're growing into and learning, but there are folks who have been doing it who we can learn from. And one of the first people who came to mind when we talked about this for me is one of my mentors. He's my seminary internship supervisor, Pastor Kelly Chatman, who until recently was the pastor at Redeemer Lutheran Church in North Minneapolis. Along with that role, he served as the executive director for the Redeemer Center for Life, which did community development work in the Harrison neighborhood of North Minneapolis. Pastor Kelly has done all kinds of cool things, served across the church in our national office, churchwide. He is a leader in community work, anti-racism work, mentor to very many people, and just really an expert on what it means to be church outside of the walls. And so we are really excited to share him with you today.
Hello, my name is Kelly Chatman. I am here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I assume that many of you have heard a lot about Minnesota these last days. We thank you for your prayers. Our prayers for the family of George Floyd and our entire community as the tragic events of Mr. Floyd's death shines a light on abuses in our police force and reforms that we need, not only in our police force, but the inherited history that we have of abuse and racism, and so many ways that our country needs to change in order to treat all of our community as one. I especially want to lift up on prayer and remembrance the Manual 9 as we come on the commemoration of that event. And the witness of God's people and God's church. But for today, I'm honored to bring a word and a brief reflection and a scripture that I chose to begin with. It's from Luke, the 11th chapter, beginning with the 33rd verse, about the light of the body. That no one, after lighting a lamp, puts it in a cellar, but on the lampstand, so that those who enter may see the light. Your eye is the lamp of your body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body is full of light. But if it is not healthy, your body is full of darkness. Therefore, consider whether the light in you is not darkness. If then your whole body is full of light, with no part of it in the darkness, it will be as full of light as when a lamp gives you light with its rays. I just want to speak briefly in the important role that neighborhoods are to our church. That not only neighborhoods, but our calling as people of God is to be neighbors. That was a rich part of the Jewish Judeo tradition, was love of neighbor, especially the most vulnerable of our neighbors. So when I think about that, I think about my own experience of pastoring a congregation where we're blessed to have Matt and Aubrey and Nora and the youngest child that was born in the context of our ministry in Minneapolis. But to be able to think about how important it is to connect with our neighborhoods, that the wealth of experience that we have in our churches, the ways that we gather and we sing, but it's not so much the singing as the incredible way that the church welcomes. That when we say that we worship, we actually are the embodiment of God. We are God's hands reaching out to others and saying, you are welcome in this place. In fact, I was once taught that the most powerful institution is the church, because no other institution in the world says it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you are welcome in this place. That is powerful, my friends. That's how I came into the church, and I'm so thankful that I did. It was that welcome that I experienced from children and Sunday school teachers. And I've been blessed throughout my career to share that love, that welcome, that embrace with others. But then when I came to Redeemer more than 20 years ago, where I served as pastor for nearly 20 years, I remember it was a small congregation. I remember I was preaching, and I'd served in different positions in the church, the director for youth ministries for the LCA, and I'd done weddings, a castle in Germany, and island in Hawaii, and I thought that I was a pretty big deal. But when I took a call to Redeemer, a congregation in a neighborhood where there was struggle, and I fell in love with it. But I remember in the beginning, I was standing up in the pulpit, and I was preaching, and maybe there were 30 people at most in the pews. And I was saying to God almost as I was preaching, I said, well, what am I doing ministering, to this smaller congregation, 30 people, and, with my salary and my education and my experience? What was I doing in this place? And then I heard a message, and it said, Kelly, you're not the pastor to 30 people. You're the pastor to this neighborhood, too. And so that transformed my understanding of church and neighborhood, that I wasn't the pastor to 30 or 35 people. I was a pastor to a neighborhood of 4,000. And so it made more meaning that, yes, I'd put on my robe and we'd sing and we'd worship, and we did wonderful worship on Sunday morning. But it was also important to be out there in the street where the people were. That as that ministry grew, the number of people who said that Redeemer was their church and they'd never been inside the sanctuary. There's a light that's in us. There's a light that's in God's church. And sometimes we need to open the doors and open ourselves up so we move out into those places where people are struggling and people are wondering, are they good enough? Do we care enough? Is God big enough to care for people even in their brokenness? And so, people of God, I think that we have a wonderful opportunity and calling to be God's light, to let our light shine out into the neighborhoods and the places where we live, and throw block parties and cookouts and urban gardens and taking kids to camp and simply just being together, getting to know our neighbors. Sadly, many congregations don't know the names of the people who are directly across the street from the church. We have an incredible opportunity. We have a wonderful message in the gospel and Lutheran theology and the ways that we have fallen in love with God, the ways that we know God has fallen in love with us. And it's our calling, our opportunity to share God's love with others. And it's not the job of the pastor. I'm so thankful that I had a pastor when I was a youth, that when my friends in my neighborhood got bored and they knew that in my church there was a gem, and in their boredom they would say, Kelly, can we go to your church? And my friends often, they didn't have a church that they went to. And I didn't require that they go to ours. But we would call him my pastor, and I'd ask him if we could come to the church and use the gym. The pastor happened to live right next door in the parsonage where he and his wife lived. The pastor would say, come over. And we'd walk to the church, and I'd go up to the pastor's door and I'd ring the doorbell, and the pastor who confirmed me, who baptized me, he would simply come to the door. He would close the door in my face while I was standing there. And then he would come back and open the door, and he would give me the keys to the church. And I would go in, I would open the door, and my friends and I, we would play basketball for hours. We experienced sanctuary. We experienced the light of comfort and belonging. It wasn't on Sunday morning, but it was the embrace of the church. It was the warmth of the light of a caring and loving community of faith. You know, it was years later, after I'd graduated from college and gone on to seminary, that it hit me that what my pastor was doing all the time is that he gave me the keys to the church. That's what God is giving to us. When God says that we are light and we are to shine in the darkness, that God's brilliant, warm, transforming light is inside each and every one of us in our baptism. What a gift it is to know that God, through the church, has given you the keys. May we be bold. May we be courageous. May we be loving, that that light of Christ would shine through us, not only in the warmth and the care and the comfort of our buildings, but out in our neighborhoods, where so many people are waiting to know, is there enough God? Is there enough church that that light might shine through them too? God bless you, brothers and sisters, in your ministry. May we continue to fight the good fight for justice and freedom. And may God's light and God's love be and nurture us in God's care. God bless you.